The new year brings with it many changes, and in the NFL, things are no different. Over the past couple days, 6 teams have decided to fire their head coaches. Some of them very quickly in their tenure, some of them after very, very long tenures. And today, I'm going to give my opinions on each. We're going to start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers firing of head coach Dirk Koetter. Koetter had been there for, I believe, 3 seasons, with moderate success with a 10-6 record in 2016, and 2 disappointing years following it up. Koetter probably deserved this firing, in all honesty. With that much talent on the offense, the Buccaneers should be better than they are. They got off to a good start this year with Ryan Fitzpatrick when Jameis was suspended, and after that, just sort of sputtered along. The real issue with this team this year, I guess, was their defense being absolute trash in comparison to how good their offense is. They they got a ton of yards and seemed like they should be a lot better than they were. They just couldn't keep other teams out of the game on defense. And then, if any one game can lose a coach, the locker room, or his job, I feel like it was probably that Washington Redskins game where they had, something like 500 yards of offense and 3 points, like 5 red zone trips, and I don't understand how they didn't finish one touchdown drive that game. You'd think you could get in once by accident getting down there that often. But with Koetter gone, I don't really know what Tampa Bay plans to do next. Upgrades should be possible. Obviously, John Harbaugh might be traded. Mike McCarthy is out there. So there's a lot of names Tampa Bay could pick up. Up next, we have Todd Bowles of the Jets. I believe he got there in 2015 and has been there since, and the Jets have been not very good over that time period. I think Bowles simply just wasn't doing enough to get the Jets wins there, although really their quarterback situation during that time period did him no favors. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick did have one good season with the Jets. I believe it was 2015 where they went 10-6 but missed the playoffs in the last week of the season. And after that, he didn't really do much of anything as far as the team's success. They had Bryce Petty, obviously the Hackenberg disaster, Geno Smith. Darnold came in this year, and Darnold looks pretty solid, but it wasn't enough to save Todd Bowles' job. The Jets apparently want to interview Cowboys defensive backs coach Chris Richard for the job, to which I say, Jets, please don't interview Chris Richard for the job. You'll probably like him as much as we do and take him. So if you guys could refrain from doing that, that would be great. Up next, we have the Dolphins firing Adam Gase. This one came as a bit of a surprise to me. Gase, I believe, took the Dolphins to the playoffs in 2016. They lost there, but I believe Tannehill wasn't playing, so that wasn't really the easiest go of it. 2017, Tannehill's ACL was torn, so it was Jay Cutler, and that didn't go well, but it really probably didn't have a chance to. And this season, I thought the Dolphins roster was super thin after all the turnover they had, and they won a moderate amount of games. I figured Gase was fine, but from what I've heard, apparently the players weren't a big fan of his, and if you lose the locker room, you can't be the head coach in the NFL, unless you're in Pittsburgh, apparently, but that's neither here nor there for the time being. So, I guess Gase had to go if he just wasn't resonating, but I didn't think he was that bad of a coach personally, but we'll see where the Dolphins go from here. Improvement is always possible. Up next, we have Vance Joseph, the Broncos head coach, got fired. I doubt he is still having the time of his life. The Broncos just haven't played very well in the 2 years that Vance Joseph had. There's not much else to it here, really. They haven't seemed like a very good team. But again, much like with Todd Bowles, I don't feel like the quarterback situation did Vance Joseph any favors. I mean, Case Keenum this year was fine. That's about as much as I can say about him. Before that, he had the rotating trio of Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian, and Paxton Lynch. Those guys aren't exactly stone-cold killers in the NFL. But it is what it is. We've seen better, we've seen worse, so I don't think Vance Joseph was a guy that can take you super far. It was probably the right move for Denver here. We'll see where they go. Elway has not been the best GM, I feel like, since Manning left. That's probably a hot take. I don't know. I don't feel like he's drafted particularly well. But the defense is still very good, I feel like. They're aging, which is a bit of a concern, but there's still enough talent there that if you can get an offense that is good, Denver can make the playoffs. If Keenum can develop more in his 30s, apparently, into a better quarterback, I don't see why it's impossible for Denver to come back next season. We'll see who they bring in. The quickest firing around the league, the Cardinals fired Steve Wilks after 1 season. Kind of surprising. I admittedly don't know much about this situation. Not a Cardinals fan. Didn't know who Wilks was when they brought him in, admittedly. And he's gone after 1 season. I believe I read it's due to the handling of the Josh Rosen situation, but that's Okay, fair enough. You don't want to mess up a rookie quarterback. That's a big no-no for head coaches. So I guess we'll see what the Cardinals do next. I don't really have a read on Steve Wilkes. The Cardinals were bad this year, but it was his first season. So whatever. Cardinals didn't think he was the guy. He's gone. And then we have the big one, the one that I've been calling for on Going for Two for a few weeks now. The move that they finally made. I was worried it would never happen. Marvin Lewis has been fired as the head coach of the Bengals. This one was, in my opinion, definitely the right move. Marvin isn't the worst coach in the league. His understudy, Hugh Jackson, probably was. But it's time. You know, at a certain point, if you cannot win with a coach, you got to let him go. All right, Marvin's been there so long, and he's been good to decent to good, but you got to win a playoff game at some point. I mean, what has it been, 16 years, maybe more now? He's been around for a long time, and the success hasn't been there. You know, I mean, Marvin was again, he took the Bengals out of a bad place in the 90s, but it was time that the Bengals made the right move. Now, Bengals, while you're listening, if you are somehow listening here, don't bring in you. Don't bring in Vance. Go get it. Go get a fresh name. Get somebody outside of the usual Bengals coaching tree. Let's make something different happen there in Cincinnati. But it is what it is. The Bengals probably will go with someone familiar, which is fine. I just don't think it'll give them much advancement. But those are my thoughts on the NFL's coaching firings around New Year's. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you want to see more like this, subscribe. This has been Kickoff Commentary, and most importantly, have a great day.